What's up, guys? It's your boy JD, aka Ask Your Boy, and today we're going to be talking about why you should not become an engineer. Again, that's why you should not become an engineer. I'll provide you governmental statistics concerning projected current job growth in various engineering fields. While I had originally planned for the video to focus around 2 arguments, every time I recorded it, it'll shoot past 20 minutes, sometimes up to 30. So I'm gonna cut out the one point and just talk about it briefly and focus on the other point. You can always earn back more money, you can always generate more energy, but you can never get back more time. And statistically speaking, the average person graduates within 6 years. Not 4 years, but 6 years for the bachelor's degree. And these 2 extra years spent generate 70% more debt on the student as compared to if they had just graduated in 4 years. On average, it takes 6 years to earn your bachelor's degree, and that generates 70% more debt than if you had graduated in 4 years. But the most important part of that is that you waste 6 years of your life that you can't get back, and that's missed income as well. Now for the real stuff that I wanted to talk about. The most important part directed towards engineering students, and that is employment and labor statistics from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, or BLS. We're basically going to talk about 5 core engineering majors and then other offshoots or less known engineering majors. 5 major ones are aerospace, chemical, civil, electrical, and mechanical engineering, and then the other less known or offshoots of those are nuclear engineering, materials engineering, biomedical engineering, petroleum engineering, hardware or computer engineering, agricultural engineering, environmental engineering, mining engineering, and industrial engineering. Maybe I'll do a video about the lineage of all those engineering majors later, but for right now we're just going to focus on the labor statistics. Before I discuss each major by type, I'll go over the key employment indicators related to how well the industry is for each major from the BLS. The first one is the job outlook percent or growth rate. In other words, it's how fast the jobs for a particular major are growing. Then there's the total number of jobs in the field, which will obviously be the largest number. And of course, we have the future employment change, or the numerical value of the job outlook related to the total number of jobs. Also, we have the median salary, which isn't that relevant to what we're discussing here, but most people tend to fixate on this when determining what engineering major they will pursue. The most important of these metrics, obviously, is the outlook percent. Now let's discuss each engineering major by type. First up, aerospace engineering. Aerospace engineers are on average $107,000 per year. However, there is an actual negative job growth rate of -2%. In other words, while the total amount of aerospace engineering jobs is 72,500, the industry will lose -1,600 jobs this year. Considering that each year 3,500 aerospace engineers graduate college, there is an obvious employment shortage. This means gaining employment in the aerospace specific industry will be difficult and cause a long-term period of personal unemployment while waiting for aerospace jobs to open up, which will most likely come about when the baby boomers eventually retire. Next up, chemical engineering. That is my background, and woe is me because I'm suffering right now with 4 months so far of unemployment. One of the main reasons for becoming a chemical engineer used to be due to the high pay rate of the major compared to other engineering majors. But this has since dwindled in recent years to a median pay of $98,000 per year. Additionally, there is only a 2% growth rate in the industry, and there's only 34,300 total chemi jobs available, which is half that of aerospace engineering. This means each year only 600 jobs will be formed in the chemical industry. Considering that 8,300 chemical engineers graduate each year, the number of new jobs, 600, is dismal and only accounts for 7% of people who graduate within that field that will gain immediate employment. Now let's discuss the most traditional engineer, the civil engineer. Civil engineers make $83,000 per year, and the industry has 281,400 current jobs. Additionally, there is a projected 8% growth in the job outlook. This translates to 23,600 new jobs that will enter the workforce this year. 24,000 new, I repeat, new and not total jobs, is 70% of all chemical engineering jobs in existence and is 40 times the amount of new chemical engineering jobs. The combination of the sheer volume of jobs available and the 8% growth rate is pretty decent, and the 8% growth rate of this industry is on par with the national average for job growth rate. With 15,200 new civil engineering graduates graduating, there are plenty of jobs for new graduates to snag. Overall, civil engineering is a decent career, and its pay is steadily increased from even a decade ago. However, you will have to suffer all the other engineering majors calling you not a real engineer. Next up is electrical engineering. Electrical engineering used to be a very good field. However, recently, the major has plateaued. With almost 316,000 total electrical engineering jobs, any increase in the growth rate would be significant. However, the current job outlook or growth is currently 0% and actually negative, with a projected loss of minus 100 jobs this year. With 17,400 electrical engineering students graduating this year, this is a major problem and will likely cause newly graduated EE students to spend a lot of time searching and battling depression and boredom-induced psychosis while waiting for a job. Nuclear engineering is also dismal, with only 16,800 total nuclear engineering jobs available. A negative 4% growth rate translates to minus 700 new jobs this year. On top of that, many nuclear positions can be filled by mechanical, chemical, and electrical engineers, which only makes newly graduated nuke majors suffer even more in the job market, especially since they have one of the least transferable majors in perhaps all of engineering. Next is the classical first engineering type of mechanical engineering. I know I said the same thing about civil engineering, but let's be honest, most engineers don't consider civil engineers real anyways, and the general public doesn't differentiate between civil engineers, architects, and construction foremen anyways, so don't worry about it. It's just a joke. Just a prank, bro. Just a prank. Anyways, mechanicals make a decent $84,000 per year with a healthy number of 277,500 total engineering jobs. With a 5% growth rate, this means that the 20,000 graduating mechanical engineers will have to fight with one another to fill the 15,000 new jobs formed each year, with a 25% mismatch between engineering graduates and new engineering jobs. Overall, the 5% growth rate of mechanical engineers is on the lower end of the average growth rate of all jobs and is generally considered low, especially when you take into consideration the number of new mechanical engineering graduates. Next up, materials engineering. Materials engineering is also pretty bad. With 300 projected jobs for next year and a total of 25,300 jobs in existence, there is only a 1% growth rate in materials engineering. Considering there are 1,300 new material engineers graduating, only about 1/5 of all material engineering graduates will be able to find a job. Next up, petroleum engineering, the money engineer, or at least it used to be traditionally. Due to the crash of crude oil prices in October of 2014, petroleum engineers and engineers in general have been suffering. However, the BLS says that petroleum engineering will grow by 10% next year and generate 3,400 new jobs in a total field of 35,000. That said, I find these figures odd and potentially misleading. Being personally affected by the layoffs of engineers of all fields that have worked in the petroleum industry and having many friends working in this field itself, I know that there is hardly any growth in petroleum. At best, the industry has finally stagnated after hemorrhaging tens of thousands of jobs over the past 2+ years. So take petroleum engineering data with a grain of salt. Next is perhaps the newest field of engineering, and that is biomedical engineering, which is very wide and quite diverse. The BLS says biomed jobs will increase 23% next year, or 5,100 new jobs will form, when there are currently only 22,100 biomed jobs available. That is an almost 25% increase in a single year, which I find hard to believe for biomedical engineers alone. That said, I believe the statistic includes all related jobs to the biomedical industry, including biochemistry, molecular biology, microbiology, and several others in addition to pure biomedical engineers, who they themselves learn a very diverse field based on every university and region that they obtain their degree from. So I would take this 25% growth rate figure with a very large and very jagged grain of salt. Next, I'll talk about some of the other engineering types. First up on that list is computer hardware engineering, which is very related to electrical engineering. Computer hardware engineering boasts a nice $115,000 median salary, which isn't that high if you consider the areas they're concentrated in. Think the Bay Area and San Francisco, which often have very high costs of living. With a total of 77,400 jobs, the industry's below average and low 3% growth rate generates 2,400 new jobs each year. Maybe that will help eat some of those hemorrhaging from the EE field. Next is another field of engineering that many might not consider engineering, but we'll discuss it anyways. Agricultural engineers. Agricultural engineers have an average salary of $73,000 a year, with a below average growth rate of 4% that generates only 100 new agricultural engineering jobs each year due to a small number of 2,900 total agri-engineering jobs in existence. Then there's environmental engineering, which many describe as an offshoot of chemical and civil engineering combined. Environmental engineers earn $85,000 per year and have a slightly above average 12% growth rate. This means that over 6,800 new jobs will be added to the already existing 55,000 jobs in the industry. That being said, environmental engineering jobs are usually quite boring. Literally every single environmental engineer I know works in water management or wastewater treatment. So it's a very bland field, so be advised. Then there's mining engineers, who make $93,000 per year and have an average growth rate of 6%. However, considering there's only a total of 8,300,000 total jobs in this field, the 500 new jobs created will be fought over. To be honest, I think this field will continue to decrease and eventually become negative. Also, something to consider in this field is the fact that other majors also work in this field, making the competition fierce. Second to last, we have another fake engineering major, and that's industrial engineering. They make $84,000 per year, and they have a job outlook of 1%. In other words, it's non-existent. However, due to the relatively high number of jobs, 241,000 total, there will be 2,100 new jobs added to this industry. However, considering that 4,700 purely industrial engineers graduate each year, this figure means nothing. Also, industrial engineering is heavily populated with every single type of engineering major. If you're going to go into that, pursue a traditional engineering field, and then you can always get a master's or take a couple of post-grad classes to work in the field. Last but not least, in any respect of all, we have software engineering, which has a broad definition and includes computer science majors, computer engineers, electrical engineers, and software developers. Now, this is a field to get into. With a 17% growth outlook, software engineering and development will generate 186,000 brand new jobs next year. This is more new jobs than the total amount of current jobs in aerospace, chemical, nuclear, materials, and biomedical engineering combined, and is over 3 times the total amount of new jobs that will be created in all fields of engineering combined. So this is the single field of engineering you should go into. I'd also like to note that the college graduate numbers are for bachelor degrees only and don't include master and doctoral students. And since most engineers pursue an undergraduate major first anyways, it shouldn't be that much different. That's about it, folks. I had only wanted to talk about the 5 or so major engineering types, but oh well. One additional thing I had wanted to discuss is the difference between future outlook or growth, new jobs created, and the total number of jobs in the industry. Although it should be self-evident, it will be much easier for somebody in a field with a high total amount of engineering jobs than in one with a relatively low number of total jobs to gain employment, even if the growth outlook is exactly the same. The argument for that is scaling. So that really does it, folks. Basically, the only engineering field you want to go into is software related, but civil engineering and environmental engineering are decent, and mechanical engineering itself is okayish, but I see it on the decline. As with all things, my friends, you should research on your own before deciding on any career path. I hope this helped you all, and feel free to leave a comment or a question below and let me know if you want to hear anything else new, and I'll probably make a video on the subject. That's all we got, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.